Welcome to Bigfoot Society. What follows is a collection of live callers that I'm calling Encounterpalooza 1 from all over the world. You're going to love it. If you're on the public feed, you'll be hearing a small teaser. If you're a member, you'll be hearing the whole thing. Encounters from Australia, British Columbia, Oregon, Mississippi, and more. Do not miss this. You can become a member by going over to patreon.com/the Bigfoot Society or becoming a tier 2 member as a YouTube channel member. Encounterpalooza is crazy and it's just for members, but hey, let's get on with the show. Hey, this is Jeremiah. You were saying that you've had a sighting while you were hunting?
Yeah, it was back in the 90s. I was bow hunting here in Colton, Oregon, just not too far behind the house here up in the mountains. And it was dusk. And I would say another 3-4 minutes I wouldn't be able to shoot. It was getting fairly dark. And I hear this crashing, loud, like breaking branches, and like it was something purposefully making lots of noise coming down the mountain right towards where I was sitting in the bushes. And I had full dress camouflage on. I had a cover scent, and it was basically following my scent. So I just turned around and waited, thinking, okay, this is a buck that's in rut, and he's mad. And I raised up my bow and wait, and the trail was 20 yards in front of me, and the thing just came out of the forest right onto the trail and just stared at me for, I would say, probably 2 minutes. I wouldn't say it was that tall, maybe six foot or so. But it was really wide shoulders. And at first it was just holding perfectly still. And then after about the 1 minute mark, it started weaving back and forth side to side like it was getting nervous. And I just kept my bow on its chest. I didn't have any intent to shoot it. And to tell you the truth, I didn't really have any feeling at all. No fear, no anything. It was kind of a blank moment. I really can't explain it. But after a second minute went by, it just backed up very slowly right back into the forest where it came from and just kind of disappeared into the darkness. And then it made just as much noise going back up the mountain as it did coming down. And that was the extent of the sighting. There was no smell involved. I didn't smell anything. But it was pretty exciting afterwards.
That's incredible. So you got a pretty good look at the face then, it sounds like.
Not really. Like I said, it was a couple minutes before dark. So really what I saw was a black outline of a giant person that was just big and looked to be hairy. That's all I could see. I couldn't see eyes, nose, or anything like that. But it had the outline of a person.
Okay, gotcha. Were you able to make out the outline of the head at all?
Yeah, it had a very large head, but the head sat like right down almost under the shoulders. It was weird, almost as if it didn't have a neck.
Sometimes people will say that when they see one, the head has a certain shape. Sometimes it's rounded, sometimes it's maybe more conical.
Yeah, I would say it was more round. I live here in Colton, right in the mountains, and for years we've always heard things up there late at night, like screams and whoops and roars and just like crazy stuff going on up there. And I always wondered what it was. And then once I had the sighting, I had something to attribute it to.
Have you heard of other sightings in that same area that you were ever?
Yes. Since the 90s, I've heard of, I don't even know how many, probably 15, 16 different sightings here in the area. The latest one was a man driving home through Colton, and a huge Bigfoot, he said it was like 12 feet tall, was just standing on the side of the road near Deerdorf and Highway 211, and he just drove right by it, and it just stared at him as he drove by.
Oh, wow. How long ago was this?
That was about a year ago. As far as, I don't have anything current, and I haven't heard any noises lately either. It seems to have stopped over the past couple years, and I don't know why.
That's fascinating. Colton's an area that I've not heard much of, but now it's on my radar. I've heard a ton of things down in an area southeast of Eugene, and it's an area called Oak Ridge. Down there, I've heard a lot of things on 58 down in that area, but definitely be keeping an ear out for Colton now.
I live on a dead-end dirt road, and my neighbor across the street would babysit their son's daughter, and he would drop off his daughter at 3:30 in the morning and then leave with his tow truck, and we would hear him come by every day. Well, all of a sudden he quit coming by and dropping his daughter off, and thought that was unusual. And come to find out, he dropped off his daughter one night, 3:30 in the morning, and a Bigfoot walked along the side of his tow truck, looking in his driver's side window all the way down our dirt road and down our asphalt road to the highway. And then it just ran off into the field, and it scared him so bad he's never been back to see his mother-in-law since. And that's been like 3 years.
That is wild. Do you have, I'm sure you've heard so many stories over the years. Have you heard any where it's a particularly aggressive encounter, or sometimes they try to get into houses in certain parts of the country?
Well, I've never heard of anything aggressive here in Colton. It seems that the one or many that live here, they're pretty laid back. But if you go to Estacada, which is just the next town up, and go up Highway 224, that's a really bad place to go. People disappear up there all the time.
You know, I have heard a lot about Estacada. That is a pretty wild area. Have you heard actual Bigfoot accounts from Estacada then?
I've only heard a couple of people just driving up there to spend some time in a park, a little pull off near the river, Clackamas River, and they just they never show up, and people find their car with the door open and nobody around, just missing.
Is that the Milo McIver State Park?
No, that's off of Springwater. That's outside of Estacada too. I'm talking about up Highway 224 into the Cascade Mountain Range, and it cuts over to Highway 22, which connects to Sisters and Bend.
So you're saying when you go up that area from Estacada and you go up into like Sisters area, it could get wild?
Right. In early 2003, that was the loudest it had ever been back in the mountains of my house here. We would hear screams, and my wife, I would tell her what I would hear because I sleep light at night, and she never really believed in it, but she was nice to me, and she just kind of humored me. Well, one night we were sleeping with the windows open, and one right in our backyard let out this huge roar, hoops, and some chest beating, and we both popped up out of bed, and her eyes were so huge, and I just had the biggest smile on my face because it, finally proved to her that they are real and they're out there.
And after that, she was on board. She's like, yeah, there's something out here.
Oh yeah, she was on board 100%. You have to experience it to believe it.
I am actually headed out there next week for a festival down in Oak Ridge, so we'll see what happens. But I'll be down southeast of Eugene, so this should be a good time.
Yeah, I don't have too much experience down that way. It's all up here. Another time I was coming home from Estacada to Colton, and I ran into this huge cloud of stink. It smelled like 75% skunk and 25% sulfur. And I like the smell of skunk and sulfur separately, but when you add them together, it really messes with you. I mean, I was being choked out of the car And right where that stink was were some skid marks, and a big truck hit a tree. And it appeared that maybe they came really close to hitting one, and it let off its scent glands and stunk up the place. And I've always planned on kind of stopping at that house and asking them if they knew anything about it. But around here, you got to be careful where you go, because people don't take kindly to visitors.
You can hear the rest of Encounterpalooza 1 by becoming a YouTube channel member in Tier 2 Bigfoot Posse, or becoming a Patreon member over at patreon.com/the Bigfoot Society. Do not miss out on this one, guys. All right, thanks for listening. Please take a minute to help out the show by subscribing on YouTube, making sure you hit the bell so you don't miss any notifications, and share the episode on YouTube with a friend. Also, if you're listening to us on a podcast, thank you so much. Make sure that you're subscribed. Share the show with a friend. Really, it's all about sharing the show wherever you can. If you've had a Bigfoot encounter related to the following, or know someone who has, please reach out to me at bigfootsociety@gmail.com or pass on my email. Here's the list. If you've had any encounters in Oregon, which I'm sure there's probably a few of you out there, please feel free to reach out immediately. You can use email bigfootsociety@gmail.com. A special thank you to all the Bigfoot Society Patreon and YouTube channel members. It's your support that helps keep the show going, and I extremely appreciate it. If you want to join in the fun, you can join over at patreon.com/the Bigfoot Society. I'll see you there. And again, thanks for listening.
Her and I can get on here and we can tell our stories. Maybe there's somebody else out there listening that's too afraid to tell their story. Maybe this will give them the courage to come out and not feel so bad about it. Who cares what anybody thinks? I know what I saw. I know what's out there. That's all I care about.
Please let people know. Please let them know. If you ever see one of these things, you need to tell. Because if you don't, then shame on you. You know? Shame on you.